Hey YouTube, how's it going? I'm just gonna jump right into this again. So, I was browsing Facebook, great place for drama, as I'm sure you're all aware. And a buddy of mine posted this picture that says Election 2012 is coming, and it lists a series of things that, he wants, or people want. So it writes, here's all I want. Obama, gone. Borders, closed. Language, English. Culture, Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Drug free. Mandatory drug screening before welfare. No freebies to non citizens. Also, balanced budget, tax reform, and term limits for Congress and senators. And then it's got that stupid thing, only 86% will send this on, should be 100%, yada yada, right? So, like I said, I was browsing, I stumbled upon this, and I felt compelled to say something, and screw it, make a video out of it, right? So, I'm just going to go through these one by one. Obama, gone. Alright, that's fine. You don't have to like Obama. I mean, he's done some things that I don't agree with, I don't like, but in comparison to a lot of the other people who are running right now, I sure as hell am not voting for Mitt Romney, I'll tell you that. But, alright. Borders, closed. See, here's one I have a real issue with, especially if you're somebody who's got a problem with Ron Paul and you call him an isolationist for wanting to pull our military out from around the world and all the different, 100 and something different bases that we have. But you want to close our borders. Yeah. Anyways. So the other part of this that really bothers me is that without, immigration into this country, your ancestors wouldn't be here. Therefore, you wouldn't be here. So why is it okay for you to have ancestors that immigrated into this country, but now nobody else can? Nah, man, that doesn't work for me. So, and there's another aspect of this, but I'll get to that in a minute because it comes up again. Language, English. Here we go. That's another one I have a problem with. This is a country based on the idea of a melting pot of cultures, people, and backgrounds. To demand that you only speak English in this country is essentially tyranny if you really think about it. Yeah, it doesn't work either, man. Come on. That's kind of a ridiculous request. I mean, let's stop and think about, the original people who used to live here. Native Americans. Maybe you should learn to speak, Miwok. Cherokee. Anyways. Culture, Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. Alright, I have no real argument here against this one. I could probably bring up a couple, but I don't see any need to in the context of this video. Drug-free, mandatory drug screening before welfare. See, I have an issue with this one on a number of levels, especially since right above, talking about culture, Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. If you read the Fourth Amendment, as far as I can tell, any type of drug testing, whether it be before employment or for welfare, is technically unconstitutional. If you're not allowed to, without probable cause or reason, search a home, a person's belongings, so on and so forth, I think that should also apply to the contents of a person's body. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Now, the other thing, screening before welfare. Now, do you realize, if you stop and think about the way that drugs work in the human body and how long certain chemicals actually stay in the system, there are things like, I don't know, alcohol, methamphetamine, cocaine, mushrooms, LSD, heroin, and then you have substances like THC. Now, what's the difference? Anybody who's not aware of THC, it's the main psychoactive chemical inside cannabis, marijuana. The main difference and why this is just really ridiculous is you have one of the least harmful drugs on the planet, cannabis, containing THC, which its main chemical happens to stay in the body for 30 plus days depending on consumption and body fat. Now you have things like alcohol out of your system in less than 24 hours. Methamphetamine, cocaine, about 3 days. So in other words, a heavy user of all these other drugs could stay clean for less than a week and pass your welfare drug test. Yet, somebody who happens to partake in cannabis from time to time, maybe even every other week, for all you know, would still fail this drug test. I'm sorry, it just makes no sense to me at all. Now, no freebies to non-citizens. Mentioned something about Native Americans earlier. I'm gonna do it again. And back to that whole borders thing. At the beginning, your ancestors technically came here as non-citizens, illegally. So this is why I get so frustrated with people when they have these types of ideals over this issue, is like, you don't belong here either. You really don't. Your ancestors invaded a country that was doing fine on its own, very peaceful in comparison to a lot of others. So I just you want the borders closed, you want the language to be English, and no freebies to non-citizens. You're a non-citizen technically. Yeah, you were born here. What does that have to do with anything? Your parents were born here? Okay, what about the generations of people who, in your mind, were illegal, and their children are born here? You want them out. I'm sure you do. Most people do. So, I don't know. Just this double hypocritical fucking standard drives me nuts. Now, a balanced budget. I don't think anybody can really argue with that one. Tax reform. Depends on what you're talking about. Nobody clarified here. Tax reform. For who? For the rich? For the middle class? Both? What? Term limits for Congress and senators. Once again, I can't really argue with that one so much. I think that's a wonderful idea. And by the way, there's only 86% will send this on. Should be 100%. Who the hell figures out these statistics? I just want to know. Alright, guys. Till next time.